sophisticated cities with advanced engineering, thriving cultures with art and astronomy, all forgotten. Climate shifted, resources vanished, empires fell, their children scattered, stories faded to silence. These ruins whisper a question. What will future archaeologists say when they excavate us?
Welcome to Sapiens Untold. If you enjoy these explorations of humanity's mysteries, please like and subscribe. Where are you listening from tonight? It's dawn at Göbekli Tepe in southeastern Turkey, and you're standing among 11,000-year-old megaliths that shouldn't exist. The air is cool, still carrying the whisper of night across the Anatolian plateau. As the first rays of sun kiss the T-shaped pillars, their carved forms emerge from the shadows, stoic sentinels from a time long before agriculture, before cities, before what we thought was civilization. Archaeologists recently discovered this site, pushing the known timeline of complex human society back by millennia. You walk between these monumental stones, some reaching over 16 feet tall and weighing dozens of tons. Your fingers trace the deeply etched reliefs, boars, foxes, lions, snakes, and enigmatic symbols that speak of a rich, complex cosmology. These were not mere hunters' etchings, they are sophisticated artistry. Carbon dating reveals that these circular enclosures, with their precisely carved pillars, were erected around 9600 BCE, predating the invention of farming and permanent settlements by thousands of years. This discovery profoundly challenges the conventional narrative that monumental architecture and organized religion arose, the stability provided by agriculture. Here it seems, the impulse to build and worship came first, perhaps even inspiring the communal effort that led to settled life. Their advanced understanding of engineering, stoneworking, and potentially astronomy is undeniable, yet mainstream history overlooks the Göbekli Tepe builders. They were a sophisticated society with complex social structures, technological innovations, and philosophical traditions, all without pottery, writing, or even domesticated animals. The sheer effort required to quarry, transport, and erect these colossal stones suggests a highly organized, cooperative society driven by a shared vision. What does it mean that such a society thrived, built these incredible structures, and then, after perhaps 1,000 years, deliberately buried them, leaving only the faintest echo? We are left to wonder what catastrophes, climate shifts, or internal transformations erased their memory. How many other civilizations have been lost entirely, leaving no trace? What will future archaeologists think when they excavate our cities? Are we building monuments that will last, or just adding to the archaeological record of forgotten peoples? What hubris makes us think we're immune to the same fate? The midday sun at Göbekli Tepe casts stark shadows, revealing the intricate details of the T-shaped pillars you now stand among. You can almost feel the weight of history emanating from these stones, many with carved arms and hands, suggesting they represent stylized human or divine figures, watching silently across the millennia. You run your hand over the cool, rough surface of one pillar, tracing the relief of a wild boar, its musculature depicted with astonishing realism for a people thought to be merely hunter-gatherers. Carbon dating reveals the earliest structures here were built at least 11,000 years ago, a staggering timeline that fundamentally reconfigures our understanding of early human capabilities. Mainstream archaeology long held that only settled, agricultural societies possessed the organizational capacity to construct such monumental sites. Yet, here is Göbekli Tepe, predating the advent of farming by nearly 2 millennia. This suggests that complex spiritual beliefs and monumental architecture might have driven the shift towards agriculture, rather than being its consequence. These were not primitive people. Their advanced understanding of quarrying, stoneworking, and collaborative labor points to a level of social cohesion and ingenuity that demands re-evaluation. The greatest enigma perhaps lies in its end. After centuries of use, the entire complex was deliberately and methodically buried, sealed under thousands of cubic feet of earth. Why would a society expend such monumental effort to create, then purposefully inter, such a sacred place? Was it a ritual act, a response to an environmental catastrophe, or a cultural shift that led them to conceal their past? This tragic act of forgetting, chosen by its own creators, means their stories, their motivations, their very names, barely appear in textbooks. What knowledge did they possess that we're only now rediscovering, hidden beneath the earth? How quickly can sophisticated societies vanish, leaving only ruins and riddles? What warning signs did they miss? Or perhaps, what answers did they find that led them to bury their greatest achievement? What can their rise and fall teach us about our own civilization's fragility and the ephemeral nature of memory itself? You stand atop a low hill in central Anatolia, the sun warming your face as you gaze upon the ancient mound of Caral-Supe. The air is dry, carrying the faint scent of dust and distant fields, a silent echo of the agrarian life that once thrived here. This remarkable settlement, dating back some 9,000 years, represents an extraordinary early experiment in urban living, yet it remains largely obscure, overshadowed by later, more grandiloquent cities. Imagine stepping into this proto-city where no streets existed. Here, homes were built directly against each other, forming a continuous maze of mud brick structures. You would have moved across rooftops, descending into your dwelling through a hole in the ceiling, a ladder leading down into the quiet intimacy of your home. Archaeologists recently discovered the precise layout of these houses, revealing intricate internal plasterwork, sometimes adorned with murals depicting hunting scenes or geometric patterns. Carbon dating reveals continuous occupation for nearly 2,000 years, from 7500 BCE to 5700 BCE, a testament to human resilience and adaptation in a unique social structure. What truly sets Caral-Supe apart is the compelling evidence of an egalitarian society. Unlike later civilizations that built grand palaces and elaborate tombs for rulers, there is no discernible architectural hierarchy here. Houses are remarkably similar in size and internal decoration, and burials beneath the floors of homes show no significant distinctions in grave goods, suggesting a society without chiefs, kings, or even dedicated public buildings. Their advanced understanding of communal living and shared resources, sustained for centuries, offers a profound alternative to narratives of hierarchy as a prerequisite for large settlements. Yet mainstream history often overlooks this proto-city's enduring stability, without overt centralized power. Why were they forgotten, despite their success? What transformations, internal or external, led to their eventual abandonment? What can their prolonged existence teach us about human cooperation and ingenuity, and the varied paths early civilizations could take? How did a community of perhaps 10,000 people manage life and conflict without apparent leadership, navigating their world across a cityscape of interconnected rooftops? What subtle social contracts or shared beliefs bound them together for so long? What other forms of communal organization have been lost entirely to time, leaving only these silent, sun-baked ruins? You stand on a vast plain in the Supe Valley of Peru, the crisp Andean air carrying the distant scent of the Pacific, looking out at the ancient city of Caral. Before you rise 6 massive platform mounds, the largest a towering 60 feet, arranged around plazas and residential areas. The setting sun casts long, dramatic shadows across the dry, fertile landscape that once nurtured this civilization. This is the oldest known civilization in the Americas, its monumental architecture predating even the Olmec by 1,000 years. Its existence challenges the traditional view of urban development in the New World. Archaeologists recently discovered the true antiquity of Caral-Supe, with carbon dating revealing its origins around 5,000 years ago, contemporary with the pyramids of Egypt and the early Sumerian cities. What strikes you most is the sheer scale and sophistication of its construction. You can see the remnants of large circular sunken plazas, and the ingenious use of *shikras mesh bags filled with stones, within the pyramid-like structures. This seismic-resistant architecture was designed to absorb the tremors common in this active region, a testament to their advanced understanding of engineering and building principles. Their achievements deserve recognition, yet they remain obscure in mainstream history. Their advanced understanding extended beyond architecture. The discovery of flutes made from condor and pelican bones suggests a rich musical tradition, while quippus, knotted textile records typically associated with the later Inca, hint at sophisticated systems of communication and record-keeping. The absence of fortifications or evidence of warfare is also notable, suggesting a civilization that thrived on peaceful commerce and cultural exchange, perhaps unified by a common religion or shared spiritual practices. Their economy was based on a symbiotic relationship between inland agriculturalists, who grew cotton and food, and coastal fishermen, who provided marine resources. Why were they forgotten, leaving no written language for us to decode their stories? What climatic shifts or resource depletion led to the decline of this remarkable civilization after over a millennium of flourishing? What can their unique path, a thriving urban society without warfare or monumental art in the European sense, teach us about the diverse forms human ingenuity can take? How many other intricate social and economic models have been lost to the sands of time, never to be unearthed? What silent lessons do the earthquake-proof pyramids of Caral whisper across the millennia about sustainable living and peaceful coexistence? What hubris makes us think our own solutions are the only path to a lasting civilization? Imagine standing on the edge of the Indus River floodplain in what is now Pakistan. The heat shimmering off the vast brick ruins of Mohenjo-Daro, one of the greatest cities of the Indus Valley Civilization. The air is thick with the scent of dry earth and ancient dust, a palpable silence hanging over a city that once bustled with tens of thousands of people. This remarkable civilization, flourishing from 2500 to 1900 BCE, rivaled contemporary Egypt and Mesopotamia in scale and sophistication, yet its achievements remain largely obscure in mainstream history. You walk among the meticulously planned streets, laid out in a precise grid pattern, a testament to their advanced urban planning. Archaeologists recently uncovered not just impressive bathhouses, like the Great Bath of Mohenjo-Daro, but also sophisticated drainage and sewage systems that were superior to many European cities until the 18th century. Every house had access to water and a waste disposal system, an astonishing feat of engineering for its time. Carbon dating reveals a civilization that maintained remarkable consistency in its urban design and material culture across an area larger than Western Europe. Their advanced understanding of standardization is evident in the uniform bricks used in construction, and the precise, cubic stone weights found across vast distances, suggesting a centralized system of trade and governance. Yet, despite their widespread influence and evident societal complexity, we have no grand temples, no lavish royal tombs, and no clear evidence of a ruling class, unlike their Mesopotamian counterparts. Their undeciphered script, found on seals and tablets, remains one of the greatest linguistic mysteries, guarding the true narratives of their people. This tragedy of forgetting means their names, their leaders, their specific philosophical traditions, all are lost. Why were they forgotten, despite their technological prowess and vast urban centers? What catastrophe, climate shift or internal collapse, led to the mysterious abandonment of these advanced cities? What can their sudden disappearance teach us about the fragility of even the most robust civilizations? Did they possess technologies or knowledge in urban sanitation or resource management that we are only now rediscovering? How quickly can such a sophisticated, widespread society vanish, leaving only enigmatic ruins and an unread script? What warning signs did they miss as their environment shifted, or their social fabric unraveled? What silent wisdom do the perfectly aligned bricks and ancient drains of Mohenjo-Daro offer us about the delicate balance between progress and permanence? You stand amidst the silent ruins of Aksum, in the highlands of northern Ethiopia, the crisp air carrying the scent of juniper and ancient earth. Before you rise colossal stelae, monolithic obelisks of granite, some still standing, others shattered on the ground like fallen giants. The tallest, now broken, would have reached over 100 feet, dwarfing any single stone construction in the ancient world outside of Egypt. This was the heart of the Aksumite Empire, an African superpower that controlled Red Sea trade routes for centuries, yet its grandeur often remains a footnote in mainstream history. Archaeologists recently discovered more about the intricate engineering required to quarry, transport and erect these monumental stelae, each weighing hundreds of tons. Carbon dating reveals that Aksum flourished from the 1st to the 7th century CE, establishing itself as a dominant force in the ancient world. It minted its own coins, a clear sign of economic power, and developed a unique written script, Ge'ez, which is still used today. You can almost hear the bustling sounds of a cosmopolitan trading hub, where merchants from Rome, Persia, India and Arabia converge, exchanging goods and ideas. Their advanced understanding of architecture is evident in the precision of the stelae, carved to mimic multi-storied buildings with doors and windows, suggesting a highly developed aesthetic and construction capability. Aksum was also one of the first states in the world to adopt Christianity, and its enduring legacy is enshrined in the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church. Yet, despite its profound cultural impact and its role as a bridge between Africa, the Middle East and the classical world, the Aksum Empire's achievements are often overshadowed, its story an untold chapter in many global histories. Why were they forgotten, despite their wealth, power and unique cultural contributions? What catastrophes, perhaps ecological degradation, or shifting trade routes, led to the gradual decline of this magnificent empire? What can their story reveal about the interconnectedness of ancient economies and the enduring legacy of African ingenuity? What technologies or knowledge did they possess that allowed them to carve and raise such immense stones? How quickly can even a powerful empire recede into the shadows of memory, its monumental achievements slowly swallowed by time and changing narratives? What warning signs did the Aksumites miss as their golden age began to wane? What future awaits our own globalized world? And what silent lessons do the giant stelae of Aksum offer about the rise and fall of great powers? You were enveloped by the golden hues of a desert sunset, standing before the magnificent treasury at Petra, carved directly into the rose-red sandstone cliffs of Jordan. The air is dry and still, carrying the faint echoes of ancient footsteps. You reach out, touching the smooth, weathered rock, feeling the cool grit of sandstone. This is the heart of the Nabatean kingdom, a powerful and sophisticated civilization that flourished for centuries, yet its story remains largely overlooked in mainstream accounts, overshadowed by the empires it deftly navigated. Archaeologists recently discovered more about the Nabateans' ingenious mastery of water. In this extreme desert environment, they engineered an elaborate system of dams, cisterns and conduits to capture, store and distribute precious rainfall, sustaining a population that could reach 30,000 within Petra itself. Their advanced understanding of hydraulics allowed them to transform an arid wilderness into a thriving trade hub. Carbon dating and historical records placed their peak influence from the 4th century BCE to the 1st century CE, a period when they controlled vital incense and spice routes. Their architectural prowess is undeniable. You gaze up at the facade of the treasury, not a constructed building but a colossal sculpture, intricately carved with Hellenistic influences yet distinctly Nabatean in its grandeur. Beyond Petra, their cities and caravanserai dotted the desert, all sustained by their unparalleled water management. They were a sophisticated society with complex social structures, technological innovations and artistic achievements, a testament to human ingenuity in the face of environmental challenges. Yet, their legacy is often confined to the single, spectacular image of Petra, without full appreciation for the civilization behind it. Why were they forgotten, despite their wealth, engineering marvels, and strategic importance? What combination of Roman conquest, shifting trade routes, or perhaps even environmental changes ultimately led to their decline and assimilation? What can the rise and fall of the Nabatean kingdom teach us about human adaptability and the fragility of even the most resilient civilizations? What technologies or knowledge did they possess in water conservation that we are only now rediscovering in our own arid regions? How quickly can a civilization, even one as brilliant and resourceful as the Nabateans, fade into the shadows of history, leaving only these silent, sun-baked monuments? What warning signs did they miss as their independence began to wane? What future awaits our own water-stressed world? And what profound lessons do the ancient cisterns and carved facades of Petra offer about living harmoniously with a challenging environment? You are kneeling in the rich, dark soil of central Nigeria, the humid air thick with the scent of rainforest and distant wood smoke. Your fingers gently brush against the coarse texture of an ancient terracotta head, its features exquisitely sculpted, hinting at a profound artistic tradition. This is the realm of the Nok culture, an astonishingly sophisticated civilization that emerged around 1500 BCE. Yet its story, beyond these remarkable sculptures, remains largely shrouded in mystery and tragically obscure in mainstream history. Archaeologists recently discovered the vast extent of the Nok culture, spanning a region roughly the size of modern Portugal. Carbon dating reveals their flourishing period lasted until about 200 CE, making them one of the earliest known producers of life-size terracotta in sub-Saharan Africa. What truly sets them apart, however, is their unparalleled achievement in ironworking. The Nok people developed sophisticated techniques, including the lost wax casting method, to smelt iron for tools and weapons, at a time when much of the world was still in the Bronze Age. This independent invention of iron technology in Africa challenges narratives that often place technological innovation solely in other regions. Their advanced understanding of metallurgy and ceramic art speaks of a complex society, with skilled artisans, organized labor, and perhaps a distinctive belief system, reflected in the expressive, often stylized faces of their terracotta figures. These figures, with their elaborate hairstyles and intricate jewelry, offer a rare glimpse into the appearance and adornment of people who lived thousands of years ago. Yet mainstream history overlooks the depth of their innovation and artistic expression, rarely acknowledging the Nok alongside contemporary cultures like ancient Egypt or early Greece. Why were they forgotten, leaving no written records, no monumental architecture, only these scattered, hauntingly beautiful terracotta fragments and the remnants of their iron furnaces? What internal changes, environmental shifts or external pressures led to the eventual disappearance of this culturally rich civilization? What can their story reveal about the diverse origins of human technological progress and artistic achievement? What lost wax casting techniques or metallurgical secrets did they possess that we are only now beginning to fully appreciate? How quickly can a culture, rich in art and technological prowess, recede into the mists of time, leaving behind only tantalizing hints of its brilliance? What warning signs did the Nok people miss as their flourishing period began to wane, and their distinct identity dissolved into subsequent cultures. What future awaits our own technologically driven world, and what profound lessons do the silent terracotta faces of Nok offer about the fleeting nature of even the most sophisticated societies? You stand on the ancient land that is now Bahrain, feeling the gentle humidity rise from the Persian Gulf, imagining a bustling harbor that once was. Beneath your feet, and indeed beneath much of this island nation, lie the submerged remnants of Dilmun, a revered Bronze Age civilization, whose name resonates through ancient Sumerian and Akkadian texts as a mythical paradise and a vital trading hub. Its pivotal role in ancient globalization is often tragically forgotten in mainstream historical narratives. Archaeologists recently discovered a wealth of evidence for Dilmun's prosperity, including hundreds of thousands of burial mounds, some dating back as far as 2200 BCE. Carbon dating reveals that Dilmun flourished as an independent entity for over 2 millennia, from around 3000 to 500 BCE. Its strategic location meant it controlled the vital sea trade routes between Mesopotamia, present-day Iraq, the Indus Valley Civilization, present-day Pakistan and India, and other Arabian Gulf ports. You can almost hear the clatter of goods and the murmur of languages, as copper from Oman, pearls from the Gulf and exotic goods from the East passed through its bustling markets. Their advanced understanding of maritime trade and diplomatic relations allowed Dilmun to become a powerful intermediary, rich in its own right, yet without needing to conquer vast empires. The textual evidence from Mesopotamia speaks of Dilmun as a land of purity and life, a place where the sun rose, often associated with fresh water, a precious commodity in the region. Their unique cylindrical seals, often depicting daily life or mythological scenes, attest to a distinctive cultural identity. Yet, the story of Dilmun, a linchpin of ancient trade and a sophisticated society, barely appears in textbooks, overshadowed by its larger imperial neighbors. Why were they forgotten, despite their critical role in connecting the ancient world's major powers? What gradual economic shifts, environmental changes like rising sea levels, or political pressures led to Dilmun's eventual decline and absorption into larger empires? What can their story reveal about the fragility of trade networks and the interconnectedness of global civilizations, even in antiquity? What sophisticated navigation techniques or trade agreements did they possess that we are only now appreciating? How quickly can the memory of a pivotal trade empire fade when its infrastructure is swallowed by the sea and its name eclipsed by conquerors? What warning signs did the people of Dilmun miss as the tides of power and commerce began to shift? What profound lessons do the submerged ruins and silent burial mounds of Dilmun offer about the ebb and flow of human endeavor and the ultimate impermanence of even the most prosperous civilizations? You stand on the vast windswept Salisbury Plain in southern England, the chill air carrying the scent of damp earth and ancient grass. Before you, in the soft fading light, rise the iconic megaliths of Stonehenge, a colossal circle of standing stones, enigmatic and imposing. You reach out, your fingers tracing the rough lichen-covered surface of a bluestone, feeling its cold permanence. This extraordinary monument, dating back over 400–500 years, represents an immense feat of engineering and social organization by a forgotten people whose names and precise beliefs have largely vanished from human memory, overshadowed by the structure itself. Archaeologists recently discovered compelling evidence regarding the distant origin of these smaller bluestones. Carbon dating reveals that these particular stones, weighing between 2 to 5 tons each, were quarried over 150 miles away in the Preseli Hills of Pembrokeshire, Wales. The colossal effort required to transport these stones, either overland or by sea, then erect them with such precision, speaks volumes about the advanced understanding and organizational capabilities of their builders. This challenge to conventional narratives suggests a society with profound ingenuity, resourcefulness, and a shared, powerful vision. Their advanced understanding of not just logistics but potentially astronomy is evident in the monument's precise alignments with the solstices. Yet, despite these monumental achievements, the specific culture that conceived and built Stonehenge, their complex social structures, technological innovations, and philosophical traditions, all remain largely a mystery. We know they were sophisticated, capable of moving and shaping immense sarsen stones, up to 50 tons, with intricate mortars and tenon joints, but their language, their leaders, their daily lives are largely lost to time. Why were they forgotten, leaving only these silent, enduring stones? What catastrophes, climate shifts or cultural evolutions led to the eventual cessation of building and the fading of their memory? What can the rise and fall of this magnificent culture teach us about our own civilization's capacity for both monumental achievement and tragic erasure? What technologies or knowledge of ancient engineering did they possess that we are only now trying to replicate and understand? While many other communities, equally driven and ingenious, have been lost entirely, leaving no trace as profound as these bluestones. What will future archaeologists think when they excavate our cities or find the ruins of our great infrastructure? Are we building monuments that will truly last, or just adding to the archaeological record of forgotten peoples, leaving behind only riddles for those who follow? You stand amidst the scattered, titanic ruins of Pumapunku, high in the Bolivian Andes, the thin, cold air biting at your cheeks as the sun casts a stark light on the ancient stones. The scent of dry earth and glacial melt lingers, and you can almost hear the wind whispering through the precise, geometric cuts of the fallen blocks. Before you lie countless meticulously carved stones, some weighing over 100 tons, often interlocking in shapes so intricate they defy easy explanation. This site, part of the greater Tiwanaku civilization that flourished from around 500 to 1000 CE, presents an engineering enigma that mainstream history often struggles to reconcile with known ancient technologies. You run your fingers along the smooth, almost polished surface of an H-block, made of red sandstone, then another of grey andesite. These materials, incredibly hard, were transported from quarries miles away across challenging terrain, often to altitudes above 13,000 feet. Archaeologists recently discovered evidence of sophisticated quarrying and finishing techniques, yet the sheer precision of these cuts, often displaying angles that suggest the use of complex geometry, remains astonishing. You notice the incredibly tight joints, so perfect that even a razor blade cannot be inserted between some of the blocks. Carbon dating places the primary construction phase long before the Inca, who themselves used impressive but visibly different stonework. Their advanced understanding of stereotomy, the art of cutting solids into desired shapes, is undeniable. The interlocking design, often without mortar, created structures incredibly resilient to seismic activity. Yet, mainstream history overlooks the profound challenge these ruins pose to our understanding of ancient tools and capabilities. These were sophisticated people with complex social structures and technological innovations, whose mastery of stone remains unparalleled. Why were they forgotten, leaving their most impressive work seemingly abandoned and partially destroyed, as if by a sudden, devastating event? What catastrophes, climate shifts or conquests erased their memory so thoroughly? What can their rise and dramatic fall teach us about our own civilization's fragility? What technologies or knowledge did they possess that allowed for such impossible precision, knowledge we are only now rediscovering or even struggling to replicate? How quickly can sophisticated societies vanish, leaving only ruins and questions that echo across the high Andean plateau? What warning signs did the builders of Pumapunku miss as their civilization began its decline? What profound lessons do these silent, exquisitely carved stones offer about human ingenuity, and the ultimate, unsettling impermanence of even the most formidable achievements? You stand before the monumental Gateway of the Sun at Tiwanaku, near Lake Titicaca in Bolivia, the thin, cold air of the Altiplano carrying whispers of centuries. This colossal archway, carved from a single block of grey-green andesite, commands attention, its intricate iconography gleaming under the high Andean sun. You run your fingers over the deeply incised relief of its central figure, often identified as the staff god or Viracocha, flanked by rows of smaller winged beings. This single massive stone, weighing approximately 10 tons, stands as a testament to the artistic and spiritual sophistication of the Tiwanaku civilization, a culture whose profound achievements and eventual demise remain largely obscure. Archaeologists recently discovered more about the complex calendrical and astronomical significance embedded within the gateway's carvings. Carbon dating reveals that Tiwanaku flourished from around 500 to 1000 CE, establishing a vast influence across the southern Andes through trade and cultural exchange, not solely through conquest. Their advanced understanding of celestial cycles is subtly woven into the figures and symbols on the gateway, hinting at a cosmology that guided their society. The precision with which these hard stone surfaces were carved, despite the lack of metal tools as we know them, speaks to a remarkable mastery of stonework. Their advanced understanding of not only astronomy but also engineering allowed them to create agricultural systems, known as Caesculus asterisk, that optimized water use and resisted frost, sustaining a large population at extreme altitudes. Yet, mainstream history often overlooks the depth of their scientific and artistic knowledge, focusing instead on later, more well-known empires. These were sophisticated people, with complex social structures, technological innovations, and philosophical traditions, whose elaborate symbolism on the gateway remains tantalizingly undeciphered, a tragedy of forgotten meaning. Why were they forgotten, leaving their most important religious and ceremonial gateway standing, but its precise message lost to us? What catastrophes, most likely severe and prolonged droughts identified by paleoclimatologists, led to the collapse of their ingenious agricultural system and the subsequent abandonment of their great city? What can the rise and fall of Tiwanaku teach us about human resilience in the face of environmental challenge, and the inherent fragility of even the most adaptable civilizations? How quickly can the vital knowledge of a complex agricultural system, a sophisticated calendar, and an entire cosmology be erased by climate shifts and societal collapse? What warning signs did the people of Tiwanaku miss as their world transformed? What profound lessons do the silent, enigmatic figures of the Gateway of the Sun offer about humanity's enduring quest for understanding, and the humbling impermanence of even the most elaborate spiritual expressions? You walk through the humid air of the Cambodian jungle, the scent of damp earth and unseen foliage clinging to your senses, as the colossal stone temples of Angkor Wat slowly emerge from the mist. You stand before its iconic 5 lotus bud towers, carved from immense sandstone blocks, feeling the cool, rough texture of the ancient edifice. This magnificent complex, the heart of the once mighty Khmer Empire, represents a civilization that flourished for over 6 centuries, from the 9th to the 15th century CE, yet its achievements, its sheer scale, and its intricate artistry are often overshadowed in mainstream history. You trace the incredibly detailed bas-reliefs that stretch for nearly half a mile around the temple's outer galleries. Archaeologists recently discovered the stories these carvings tell: epic Hindu myths, historical battles, and vivid depictions of daily life in the Khmer Empire. Carbon dating reveals continuous construction and expansion, particularly during the reign of Suryavarman II in the 12th century. The sheer precision of the stonework, fitted without mortar, and the scale of the entire Angkorian city, a sprawling urban agrarian complex that at its peak may have housed over 1 million people, demonstrate an advanced understanding of engineering, artistry, and social organization. Their advanced understanding of hydraulics is particularly striking. The Khmer civilization constructed an intricate network of canals, reservoirs, known as **barrays**, and dikes to manage the monsoon waters, enabling multiple rice harvests annually and sustaining their vast population. This sophisticated system was more extensive than any in the ancient world, yet mainstream history frequently overlooks this marvel of ancient urban and water planning. These were sophisticated people with complex social structures, technological innovations, artistic achievements, and profound philosophical traditions, whose names and intricate history barely appear in textbooks. Why were they forgotten, leaving their grand capital to be slowly reclaimed by the jungle? What combination of climate shifts, resource depletion from over-reliance on their water system, internal strife or external invasions, led to the decline and eventual abandonment of this once glorious empire? What can their rise and fall teach us about our own civilization's fragility, especially in the face of environmental changes? How quickly can a civilization, even one as grand and populous as the Khmer, recede into silence, leaving behind only these awe-inspiring, yet silent, stone witnesses? What warning signs did they miss as their complex system began to falter? What profound lessons do the silent bas-reliefs and jungle-choked temples of Angkor Wat offer about human ambition, ingenuity, and the ultimate, humbling impermanence of even the most elaborate societies? You soar above the dense, emerald canopy of the Cambodian jungle, the humid air pressing softly against you, carrying the scent of verdant life and hidden antiquity. From this vantage, the familiar stone towers of Angkor Wat appear like intricate islands in a sea of green. Yet, it is beneath this impenetrable veil, revealed by modern technology, where the true scale of the Khmer Empire's genius and subsequent erasure becomes startlingly clear. Archaeologists recently utilized LiDAR, light detection and ranging, technology to penetrate the dense foliage, mapping the ground features hidden for centuries. Carbon dating of features unearthed from these LiDAR discoveries confirms that what was once considered a collection of isolated temples was, in fact, a sprawling megacity, an urban agrarian complex that at its zenith housed over 1 million people. You trace on the digital map a vast, intricate network of residential areas, smaller temples, roads, and a monumental hydraulic system, all seamlessly connected. This revelation profoundly challenges the conventional narrative of a temple-centric civilization, unveiling instead an urban landscape rivaling any in the pre-industrial world. Their advanced understanding of environmental engineering, particularly in water management, is now undeniably vast. The Khmer designed an unparalleled system of canals, dikes, and immense reservoirs, or **barrays**, not just to provide drinking water, but to manage the volatile monsoon seasons, allowing multiple rice harvests each year. This allowed their sophisticated society, with complex social structures and technological innovations, to flourish for centuries. Yet, mainstream history frequently overlooks the true scope of this ancient urban marvel, focusing instead on its more visible, albeit equally impressive, temple structures. The full story of the millions who lived and thrived within this forgotten city has only just begun to be told. Why were they forgotten, their vast cityscapes slowly consumed by the very jungle they once tamed? What catastrophes, likely a combination of climate shifts such as prolonged droughts or extreme monsoons, resource depletion from overexploitation of their water system, or internal strife, led to the decline and eventual abandonment of this glorious empire? What can their story reveal about the fragility of complex urban systems and the subtle warnings we might miss in our own burgeoning cities? How many other megacities, equally sophisticated and grand, have been swallowed by earth and foliage, awaiting the technologies of tomorrow to bring them to light? What will future archaeologists think when they use advanced mapping on our own cities, revealing patterns and infrastructures we take for granted today? Are we building monuments and systems that truly endure, or simply adding new layers to the archaeological record of forgotten peoples? You descend into the azure waters off the coast of Yonaguni Island, Japan. The warm current gently pushing against you. The sun's rays, diffused by the ocean, paint the depths in shifting shades of blue and green. As you go deeper, the incredible structure begins to emerge from the gloom. Immense stone terraces, straight lines and right angles, all seemingly carved from the bedrock. You run your gloved hand along a perfectly horizontal ledge, feeling the cool, textured stone, a stark contrast to the surrounding natural coral formations. This is the Yonaguni Monument, an astonishing submerged anomaly that challenges our understanding of prehistoric human capabilities and coastal civilizations. Mainstream geology often attributes these formations to natural erosion, arguing that the intricate shapes are merely the result of tectonic activity and water currents acting on parallel fault lines. Yet, alternative researchers and some archaeologists recently discovered compelling features: perfectly 90-degree angles, deep channels, staircase-like structures, and seemingly sculpted faces or animal figures that suggest intelligent design. Carbon dating, while not directly applicable to the stone itself, indicates that if man-made, these structures would have been above sea level during the last ice age, at least 10,000 years ago. This pushes the timeline for such monumental construction far beyond conventional understanding. Their advanced understanding of stoneworking, if artificial, would be breathtaking. The sheer scale of these submerged terraces, the precision of their cuts, and the suggestion of purpose-built features imply a lost civilization or culture with capabilities that predate known advanced societies. Yet mainstream history largely overlooks the profound questions Yonaguni raises, often dismissing it without full investigation. These were potentially sophisticated people with complex social structures and technological innovations, whose story, and indeed their very existence, was swallowed by the rising sea. Why were they forgotten if they existed? What catastrophe, specifically the massive sea level rise after the last glacial maximum, submerged their world, erasing their memory almost entirely? What can their story, whether natural wonder or human achievement, teach us about the fragility of coastal civilizations and the dramatic shifts our planet has undergone? What technologies or knowledge did they possess that allowed for such work, knowledge we are only now contemplating as we observe these silent underwater ruins? How many other intricate structures, entire cities or advanced cultures lie hidden beneath the ocean's surface, waiting to be rediscovered? What will future archaeologists think when they find our own coastal cities inundated by rising waters? Are we building monuments that will last, or just adding to the archaeological record of forgotten peoples, soon to be lost beneath the waves? You are suspended in the deep blue calm off Yonaguni Island, the light filtering down, illuminating the colossal underwater terraces. The water is cool against your skin, and the only sound is your own steady breath. You drift closer to the immense stone structure, examining the sheer faces and flat platforms, feeling the ancient, silent power of this place. The Yonaguni Monument, a subject of intense debate, embodies the profound questions that arise when the lines between natural wonder and human artistry blur beneath the waves. Mainstream geologists present a compelling argument. The monument's features, they assert, are the result of natural geological processes acting on a sandstone formation. They point to the parallel bedding planes and natural fault lines that create rectangular shapes and terraces as the bedrock eroded. The precision, they argue, is a fascinating trick of nature, amplified by the angle of observation and the human tendency to find patterns. Carbon dating, they remind us, cannot prove human manipulation of the rock itself, only when it was last exposed. However, archaeologists and alternative researchers recently discovered features that complicate a purely natural explanation. You swim towards a corner, noting a 90-degree angle so sharp it appears almost cut, contrasting with softer, more weathered parts. There are distinct, symmetrical steps, what appear to be carved passageways, and even suggestive outlines resembling faces or animals. If artificial, this implies a highly advanced prehistoric civilization that lived on the Japanese archipelago over 10,000 years ago, before the end of the last ice age and the subsequent rise in sea levels submerged their world. Their advanced understanding of stoneworking and engineering to create such a massive complex would redefine early human capabilities. Yet mainstream history often overlooks these challenging anomalies, perpetuating the tragedy of a potentially forgotten people. Why were they forgotten, their colossal structures swallowed by the sea, their very existence debated? What geological or climatic catastrophes wiped their civilization, if it was indeed one, from the memory of humanity? What can this submerged enigma teach us about the subtle, and sometimes overwhelming, forces that erase entire chapters of human history? How many other ancient structures, built by forgotten peoples, lie hidden beneath the oceans, waiting to be rediscovered, or forever lost to the slow, persistent work of the tides? What will future archaeologists think when they encounter our own submerged coastal cities, if sea levels continue to rise? Are we building monuments that will last, or merely adding to the mysterious, watery archaeological record of forgotten civilizations? You walk through the silent, sun-baked grid of Mohenjo-Daro, one of the grandest cities of the Indus Valley Civilization, in what is now Pakistan. The air is heavy with the scent of dry earth and ancient dust, a palpable quiet reigning over what was once a bustling metropolis. You run your hand along a perfectly straight brick wall, feeling the uniform texture of fired clay. This civilization, thriving over 4,000 years ago, from roughly 2,500 to 1900 BCE, engineered urban centers with a foresight that astonishingly predates many later, more celebrated cultures. Yet, its story and its achievements remain largely obscure in mainstream history. Archaeologists recently discovered the meticulous planning of Mohenjo-Daro, laid out on a precise grid with streets running true north-south and east-west. Carbon dating reveals generations of inhabitants adhered to this rigorous plan, rebuilding structures directly on top of older foundations to maintain the city's order. Every house, from the smallest dwelling to the impressive Great Bath, had access to advanced sanitation, private wells, bathing rooms, and elaborate sewage systems that carried waste efficiently away through covered drains beneath the streets, a level of public health infrastructure superior to most European cities until the medieval period. Their advanced understanding of sanitation and urban management is truly remarkable. Beyond their city planning, their society showcased an unparalleled standardization. You noticed the precise, cubic stone weights found in excavations, uniform across thousands of miles, implying a sophisticated economic system and a high degree of centralized authority, or perhaps, a shared cultural understanding. Yet their undeciphered script, found on thousands of seals, holds the true narratives of their people, their leaders, their beliefs, agonizingly just out of reach. This tragedy of forgetting means their specific philosophical traditions, their very names, are almost entirely lost to us. Why were they forgotten, despite their technological and urban prowess? What catastrophes, climate shifts, perhaps a devastating change in the Indus River's course, or an internal, non-violent collapse, led to the mysterious abandonment of these advanced cities? What can their sudden disappearance teach us about the fragility of even the most robust and carefully planned civilizations? How quickly can such a vast, sophisticated society vanish, leaving only enigmatic ruins and an unread language? What warning signs did the people of Mohenjo-Daro miss as their world began to transform? What silent wisdom do the perfectly aligned bricks and ancient drains of this forgotten city offer us about the delicate balance between human ingenuity and the relentless passage of time? You hold in your palm a small, soapstone seal, unearthed from the ancient mounds of the Indus Valley Civilization, its surface cool and smooth against your skin. Intricate animal figures, a unicorn-like creature, an elephant, a tiger, are carved with remarkable detail, alongside a series of enigmatic symbols that form a script. The air around you is still, carrying the scent of dry earth, and you feel the weight of a profound mystery contained within this tiny artifact. This undeciphered Indus script is perhaps the greatest tragedy of forgetting from a civilization that thrived over 4,000 years ago, leaving its sophisticated stories eternally unread. Archaeologists recently discovered thousands of these seals across hundreds of sites, from the major cities of Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa to smaller settlements. Carbon dating places these artifacts squarely within the flourishing period of the Indus Valley Civilization, from around 2500 to 1900 BCE. The consistency of the script symbols across such a vast geographical area suggests a unified system of communication, or perhaps a shared cultural iconography, rather than just decorative motifs. Mainstream archaeology attributes this script to a functional purpose, likely related to trade or administration, yet its true meaning eludes us. Their advanced understanding of trade, administration, and symbolic representation is undeniable. The presence of these seals in distant Mesopotamia confirms Dilmun's role as a trading hub. Yet, unlike Egyptian hieroglyphs or Mesopotamian cuneiform, the Indus script has resisted all attempts at decipherment. Without a Rosetta Stone, the voices of these sophisticated people, their complex social structures, technological innovations, artistic achievements, and philosophical traditions all remain locked away. This means their names, their leaders, their specific beliefs, and the reasons for their mysterious abandonment are veiled in an almost impenetrable silence. Why were they forgotten, their written language rendered mute? What catastrophes, climate shifts, or cultural transitions led to the complete loss of the knowledge required to read their script? What can this persistent enigma teach us about the fragility of cultural memory and the importance of transmitting knowledge across generations? What technologies or knowledge of language and symbolism did they possess that we are only now struggling to comprehend? How many other ancient civilizations, equally complex and articulate, have left behind stories we can no longer read, their voices silenced by time? What will future archaeologists think when they encounter our own vast digital archives, if the means to access them are lost? Are we building monuments of information that will last, or just adding to the archaeological record of forgotten languages and untold stories? You stand before the colossal basalt heads of the Olmec civilization at La Venta. On Mexico's humid Gulf Coast, the air is thick and warm, heavy with the scent of damp earth and distant mangroves, and jungle sounds softly filter through the leaves. Your hand reaches out to touch the smooth, dark stone, feeling the cool, polished surface of a face, carved with immense power and serene authority. These monumental sculptures, some standing nearly 10 feet tall and weighing up to 40 tons, are the silent, enigmatic legacy of Mesoamerica's mother culture, a civilization that laid the groundwork for later Maya and Aztec achievements, yet remains profoundly mysterious and overshadowed in mainstream history. Archaeologists recently discovered a total of 17 colossal heads, meticulously carved with individual facial features, distinct headgear, and sometimes even ear flares. Carbon dating reveals that the Olmecs flourished from around 1400 to 400 BCE, an impressive span of 1,000 years. The sheer logistical feat of creating these heads is astonishing. The basalt was quarried up to 60 miles away in the Tuxtla Mountains, then transported through dense jungle and across rivers, presumably by immense human effort using rafts and rolling logs, without the benefit of wheeled vehicles or beasts of burden. This journey alone demonstrates their advanced understanding of engineering and resource mobilization. Their advanced understanding of artistic expression and social organization is undeniable. Who these individuals represent, powerful rulers, esteemed ancestors, or celebrated ball players, remains a subject of scholarly debate. The heads were often deliberately defaced or ritually buried, suggesting complex political or religious transitions that remain tragically lost to us. Yet mainstream history often overlooks the depth of their influence and the sophistication of their artistic and engineering achievements, presenting only fragments of their remarkable story. Why were they forgotten, leaving only these silent, sculpted faces to guard their secrets? What catastrophes, perhaps environmental changes affecting their riverine trade routes or internal political upheaval, led to the decline of this foundational civilization? What can the Olmecs' rise and fall teach us about human resilience, ingenuity, and the fragility of even the most powerful cultures? How many other artistic marvels, equally powerful and evocative, have been lost entirely to the unforgiving forces of time and tropical growth? What will future archaeologists think when they uncover our own grand effigies, long after our civilization has passed? Are we building monuments that will speak clearly across millennia, or merely adding to the archaeological record of forgotten peoples, leaving future generations to wonder at our lost stories? You stand beside a colossal Olmec head, nestled amongst the vibrant, dense vegetation of Mexico's Gulf Coast. The air is warm and humid, carrying the damp scent of earth and the distant calls of jungle birds. Your fingers trace the weathered lines of the massive basalt, feeling the immense weight of the stone and the even greater weight of the logistical enigma it represents. This silent sentinel from Mesoamerica's mother culture forces us to confront a profound challenge. How did a civilization without wheeled vehicles, without beasts of burden, transport these multi-ton boulders across miles of treacherous terrain, including rivers and swamps? Archaeologists recently discovered that the basalt for these colossal heads, some weighing up to 40 tons, was quarried in the distant Tuxtla Mountains, often more than 60 miles from major Olmec centers like San Lorenzo or La Venta. Carbon dating places the creation of these heads between 1400 and 400 BCE. Mainstream archaeology attributes this monumental feat to immense human labor, suggesting a complex combination of rolling logs, sledges, and large rafts to navigate rivers and shallow waters. The sheer organizational capacity required to mobilize thousands of workers for such an undertaking speaks to a highly sophisticated society. Their advanced understanding of engineering, labor management, and perhaps even rudimentary physics allowed them to overcome seemingly impossible challenges. The precise carving of these massive stones, often into individualized portraits, further highlights their artistic and technological prowess. Yet despite the undeniable evidence of their ingenuity, the specifics of their transport methods remain largely conjectural, a testament to a lost knowledge. This tragedy of forgetting means the intricate details of their planning and execution are veiled in the mists of time, rarely appearing in mainstream textbooks as a prime example of ancient human capability. Why were they forgotten, leaving us with only these silent colossal heads and the perplexing question of their journey? What catastrophes, environmental degradation, or internal decline led to the cessation of such monumental endeavors and the eventual erasure of their memory. What can their story reveal about human problem-solving and the fragility of even the most robust technological achievements? How quickly can the vital knowledge of complex engineering and logistical solutions be lost, leaving only the enigmatic remnants of their application? What will future archaeologists think when they analyze our own massive infrastructure projects, wondering at the forgotten techniques we employed? Are we documenting our innovations well enough for the distant future? Or are we too adding to the archaeological record of forgotten technologies? You lean in close, the scent of preserved antiquity faint in the air, as you gaze upon the corroded, intricate gears of the Antikythera mechanism. Housed in a climate-controlled chamber, its bronze components, once gleaming, are now fused by the relentless work of time and the sea. Yet the sheer complexity of its internal structure is breathtaking. You can almost feel the whispers of the ancient Greek minds that conceived and crafted this device, a technological marvel that profoundly challenges our understanding of classical antiquity, often overshadowed by the architectural and philosophical grandeur of Greece and Rome. Archaeologists recently discovered this astonishing device in a Roman-era shipwreck off the coast of Antikythera Island in 1901. Dating of the wreck and its cargo places the mechanism's creation around the late 2nd to early 1st century BCE. Modern analysis using advanced X-ray tomography reveals it as an extraordinary analog computer, designed with a series of interlocking gears, some incredibly small, to predict astronomical positions and eclipses with remarkable accuracy. It even tracked the cycles of the Olympic Games. Its advanced understanding of differential gearing and complex clockwork mechanism is a profound technological anomaly, far exceeding anything known from the ancient world for over 1,000 years. Their advanced understanding of mathematics, astronomy, and precision engineering is undeniable. Yet mainstream history often overlooks this profound example of Hellenistic ingenuity, sometimes treating it as an isolated marvel rather than a product of a sophisticated intellectual tradition. These were sophisticated minds, with complex social structures supporting specialized craftsmen, whose technological innovations in mechanical computation remained unmatched until the European Renaissance. The tragedy of forgetting means the knowledge to build such intricate devices vanished, its principles seemingly lost for centuries. Why was this incredibly advanced technology not further developed or replicated? What catastrophes, perhaps the decline of specific philosophical schools, the destruction of libraries, or the shifting priorities of empires, led to the erasure of such intricate mechanical knowledge? What can its rediscovery teach us about the fragility of scientific progress and the hidden depths of ancient brilliance? How quickly can centuries of scientific advancement be lost, leaving only a single, enigmatic artifact to hint at a forgotten era of genius? What will future archaeologists think when they uncover our own complex computational devices, if the context of their creation and function is lost? Are we building systems of knowledge that will truly endure, or merely adding to the archaeological record of forgotten marvels? You watch intently as a digital model of the Antikythera mechanism spins and whirs on a screen, its bronze gears seamlessly interlocking, recreating the cosmos as understood by ancient Greeks. The virtual stars and planets move with an intricate grace, demonstrating the astonishing calculations it was capable of. This digital reconstruction brings to life a lost technology, hinting at a forgotten lineage of scientific and engineering prowess that challenges our conventional narratives of the classical world. Archaeologists recently utilized X-ray computed tomography and advanced computer modeling to meticulously reconstruct the mechanism's internal workings from its corroded fragments. Carbon dating of the shipwreck indicates it was lost around 60 BCE, a period from which such mechanical complexity was thought impossible. The model reveals a device capable of predicting the positions of the Sun, Moon, and 5 known planets, as well as tracking lunar and solar eclipses, and even the timing of ancient Pan-Hellenic games. This advanced understanding of epicyclic gearing, where one gear rotates around another, was not seen again in European technology for over a millennium. Their advanced understanding of mathematical astronomy and precision manufacturing is undeniable. The meticulous calculations for planetary motions, combined with the artisan skill to craft dozens of complex, interlocking gears from bronze, reveals a sophisticated intellectual and technical tradition. Yet mainstream history often treats the Antikythera mechanism as an isolated anomaly, failing to fully integrate its implications into the broader narrative of ancient Greek science and technology. This tragedy of forgetting means that the knowledge to build such devices disappeared, leaving us to rediscover its principles centuries later. Why was this incredible technology seemingly a dead end, its lineage severed for over 1,000 years? What catastrophes, perhaps the decline of specific scientific schools, the political upheavals of the Roman Empire, or a shift in intellectual priorities, led to the erasure of this advanced mechanical knowledge? What can its rediscovery teach us about the fragility of scientific progress and the hidden brilliance that can vanish without a trace? How quickly can sophisticated technological knowledge be lost, only to be pieced together millennia later by the very tools it foreshadowed? What will future archaeologists think when they encounter our own vast computational networks, if the key to their function and the context of their creation is lost? Are we building systems of knowledge that will truly endure, or merely adding to the archaeological record of forgotten marvels and their untold stories? You descend into the cool, dark earth of Cappadocia, Turkey, the air growing heavy and damp with the scent of subterranean rock. As you move through narrow passages, carved from soft volcanic tufa, the vastness of Derinku's underground city slowly reveals itself. This incredible, multi-level labyrinth, reaching over 250 feet deep, was once home to thousands of people seeking refuge. You run your hand along the smooth, cool rock of a carved doorway, feeling the ancient effort embedded in the stone. This hidden metropolis, largely unknown outside of archaeological circles, represents an extraordinary feat of human resilience and engineering by a forgotten people. Archaeologists recently discovered that Derinkuyu is just one of hundreds of interconnected underground cities in Cappadocia, with evidence suggesting its initial construction dates back to the Phrygians around the 8th century BCE. Carbon dating of artifacts found within places continuous usage through the Byzantine era, particularly by early Christians fleeing persecution. The scale is staggering. It features living quarters, stables, churches, schools, wineries, and even sophisticated ventilation shafts that allowed fresh air to circulate throughout its estimated 18 levels. Massive rolling stone doors designed to seal off passages could be operated from the inside, providing impenetrable defense. Their advanced understanding of geology, engineering, and community self-sufficiency is undeniable. They harnessed natural ventilation and maintained a stable internal temperature, enabling long-term subterranean habitation. These were sophisticated societies with complex social structures and technological innovations, driven by the profound human need for security. Yet mainstream history largely overlooks these subterranean marvels, their ingenious solutions to survival overshadowed by the visible empires that dominated the surface world. The tragedy of forgetting means the specific stories of courage and community within these silent depths remain untold. Why were they forgotten, their hidden cities gradually abandoned, and their purpose obscured? What threats, invasions, or periods of relative peace eventually led these communities to return to the surface, leaving their subterranean havens behind? What can their story reveal about human ingenuity in times of crisis, and the universal drive for survival? What technologies or knowledge of subterranean architecture did they possess that we are only now appreciating? How many other hidden cities, carved into the earth or disguised by time, still await rediscovery, holding the untold stories of desperate but resourceful peoples? What will future archaeologists think when they uncover our own emergency bunkers or data centers, wondering at the hidden infrastructures we created? Are we building systems of refuge that will last, or merely adding to the archaeological record of forgotten places of desperate survival? You step deeper into the silent, cool embrace of Derinku's subterranean world. The air still and heavy, with the scent of ancient rock. You stand in what archaeologists recently identified as a rock-hewn church. Its carved nave and apse, surprisingly grand given its hidden location. Further on, you glimpse the basins and channels of a wine press, painstakingly carved into the tufa stone, hinting at vibrant communal life. You can almost hear the echoes of hymns and the joyful sounds of harvest, imagining families living, worshipping, and toiling within these ingeniously constructed levels. Carbon dating of artifacts found throughout the city indicates a long history of occupation, with initial Phrygian construction around the 8th century BCE, and continuous expansion by Byzantine Christians seeking refuge from invaders. These people carved entire communities beneath the earth, complete with living quarters, communal kitchens, stables for livestock, and vast food storage areas. Their advanced understanding of geology allowed them to excavate without collapsing the structure, while sophisticated ventilation shafts ensured breathable air even at the lowest levels, some 250 feet down. These weren't just abstract cultures. They were real people whose children played in these hidden corridors, whose leaders made decisions for survival, and whose artists created sacred spaces in the rock. Their advanced understanding of self-sufficiency and communal living in extreme circumstances is undeniable. For generations they adapted to a world underground, developing unique solutions to security, food preservation, and sanitation. Yet mainstream history frequently overlooks these incredible feats of resilience, focusing instead on surface empires. The tragedy of forgetting means the specific hopes, fears, and daily routines of these sophisticated societies, living in such close quarters, are largely lost to us, leaving only the silent architecture of their ingenuity. Why were they forgotten, their vast, interconnected cities eventually emptied, and their stories obscured? What specific threats, or what eventual periods of peace, allowed or compelled them to leave these incredible refuges behind? What can their story teach us about human resilience, adaptability, and the profound lengths people will go to preserve their way of life? How many other communities, equally ingenious in their adaptations to threat, have left no trace but these silent, empty spaces? What will future archaeologists think when they uncover our own hidden shelters or secure data vaults? Are we building monuments that truly reflect our deepest fears and greatest ingenuity, or merely adding to the archaeological record of forgotten places of desperate, yet often inspiring, survival? You walk through the ethereal morning mist of Brittany, France, the cool, damp air carrying the scent of verdant fields. Before you stretch the bewildering megalithic rows of Karnak, thousands of standing stones arranged in precise, geometric alignments that vanish into the horizon. You reach out, your hand meeting the rough, lichen-covered surface of an ancient menhir, feeling the sheer scale and mystery of this place. This monumental landscape, a product of a sophisticated Neolithic culture, remains one of Europe's most enigmatic archaeological sites, its purpose and builders largely forgotten, overshadowed by later civilizations. Archaeologists recently discovered that these stone rows or alignments asterisk were erected over a long period, primarily between 4500 BCE and 3300 BCE. Carbon dating reveals that this massive undertaking, involving over 3,000 stones, some weighing many tons, predates Stonehenge by thousands of years. The sheer logistical effort to quarry, transport, and erect these megaliths speaks volumes about the social cohesion and ingenuity of the Neolithic people who lived here. While their exact purpose is debated, from astronomical observatories to ritual sites or burial grounds, their advanced understanding of geometry and large-scale organization is undeniable. Their advanced understanding of not only stoneworking but also possibly calendrical or territorial marking is suggested by the precise lines and patterns. Yet mainstream history often overlooks the magnitude of Karnak, focusing instead on regions with written records. These were sophisticated societies with complex social structures, technological innovations for their era, and profound philosophical or religious traditions. The tragedy of forgetting means their names, their specific cosmology, and the intricate daily lives of the thousands who built these silent monuments are almost entirely lost to us. Why were they forgotten, their purpose becoming a subject of endless speculation? What catastrophes, climate shifts, or cultural transitions led to the abandonment of such a central, sacred landscape and the erasure of its meaning from collective memory? What can their story reveal about the human impulse to connect with the cosmos and to leave an enduring mark upon the earth? How many other intricate ancient landscapes, equally charged with meaning, have been lost entirely, their stories slowly unraveled by the elements? What will future archaeologists think when they encounter our own vast infrastructure projects or public art installations? Are we building monuments that will speak clearly across millennia, or merely adding to the archaeological record of forgotten peoples, leaving only fragments of our remarkable stories? You gaze across the endless rows of standing stones at Karnak, the morning sun now burning off the mist, revealing the incredible precision of the alignments. The air is fresh and cool, carrying the scent of damp earth and distant sea. Your eyes follow the lines of menhirs, arranged in patterns that seem too deliberate to be accidental. This vast megalithic complex, erected by a sophisticated Neolithic culture, is not merely a collection of stones. Many archaeologists and astronomers recently discovered it to be a monumental open-air observatory, its stones aligned to celestial events. Carbon dating reveals that the major construction phases at Karnak occurred between 4500 BCE and 3300 BCE, making it one of the earliest and most extensive astronomical instruments known. Mainstream astronomy attributes the alignments to marking significant solar and lunar cycles, critical for early agricultural societies. Some theories suggest the stone rows, or alignments asterisk, precisely track the extremes of the moon's rise and set, a complex 18.6-year cycle that requires generations of meticulous observation to ascertain. Their advanced understanding of celestial mechanics, far beyond simple observation, challenges our perception of Neolithic intellectual capabilities. The sheer scale and geometrical precision required to lay out thousands of stones to track subtle lunar movements is staggering. This implies a highly organized society with specialized knowledge, capable of long-term planning and collaborative effort. Mainstream history often overlooks the depth of this astronomical achievement, or presents it as merely superstitious practice, rather than a profound scientific endeavor. These were sophisticated people with complex social structures and technological innovations for their era, whose names and specific scientific traditions have been tragically lost, leaving only these silent, stone calculators. Why were they forgotten, their purpose becoming a subject of academic debate rather than celebrated fact? What catastrophes, climate shifts impacting their need for such precise agricultural calendars, or cultural evolutions, led to the cessation of such monumental astronomical work and the erasure of its knowledge? What can their story reveal about the human impulse to understand the cosmos and its influence on earthly life? What technologies or knowledge of observational astronomy did they possess that we are only now painstakingly reverse engineering? How many other ancient observatories, equally complex and profound, have been lost entirely, their celestial wisdom fading with time? What will future archaeologists think when they analyze our own satellite arrays and observatories, wondering at our connection to the stars. Are we building systems of scientific knowledge that will truly endure, or merely adding to the archaeological record of forgotten civilizations and their lost attempts to chart the heavens? You stand high above the sacred valley, near Cusco, Peru, the thin Andean air crisp and cold, as the immense walls of Sacsayhuaman rise before you. The sun, piercing the clear mountain sky, illuminates the titanic blocks of stone, fitted together with impossible precision. You run your hand along the joint between two colossal stones, some weighing over 100 tons, feeling the cool, rough texture where they meet. No mortar holds them. They interlock like pieces of a vast, complex puzzle, so perfectly that you cannot slide a sheet of paper between them. This astonishing feat of megalithic engineering represents a profound mystery, a testament to a forgotten mastery of stone, often attributed to the Inca, but whose origins hint at older, more obscure knowledge. Mainstream archaeology attributes these walls to the Inca Empire, constructed in the 15th century CE. Carbon dating of associated artifacts supports this timeline. Yet, the sheer scale and unparalleled precision of these polygonal walls, made from incredibly hard andesite, often lead alternative researchers to question whether the Inca inherited or reused foundations from an earlier, highly advanced civilization. The logistical challenge of quarrying, transporting, and shaping these massive stones, without the aid of iron tools or wheeled vehicles, is almost incomprehensible. Their advanced understanding of stereotomy, the art of cutting solids into desired shapes, is undeniable, creating a seismic-resistant architecture perfectly suited to this earthquake-prone region. Their advanced understanding of complex geometry and construction techniques far surpasses what is typically ascribed to ancient Andean cultures, yet mainstream history often overlooks the profound questions these walls pose about ancient technology. These were sophisticated people with complex social structures and technological innovations, whose mastery of stone remains a bewildering marvel. The tragedy of forgetting means the specific methods and the true extent of their knowledge are lost, leaving us only to wonder. Why were they forgotten, leaving only these silent, unyielding stones to guard their secrets? What catastrophes, climate shifts, or conquests erased the specific engineering knowledge that allowed for such precise construction? What can their enduring walls teach us about human ingenuity and the fragility of even the most robust civilizations, when the knowledge to build them is lost to time? How many other architectural marvels, equally astounding in their precision and scale, have been lost entirely to history, their builders forgotten? What will future archaeologists think when they excavate our own high-rise buildings and marvel at our lost construction techniques? Are we building monuments that will clearly articulate our capabilities, or merely adding to the archaeological record of forgotten peoples, leaving only fragments of our remarkable stories? You stand before the colossal, interlocking walls of Sacsayhuaman, high above Cusco, Peru, the thin Andean air carrying the scent of rich earth and distant eucalyptus. The setting sun paints the immense stones in shades of gold and amber, emphasizing their astonishingly tight fit. You reach out, your hand meeting the cool, ancient surface of a cyclopean block, feeling the undeniable mastery in its shape. While mainstream archaeology attributes these walls to the Inca Empire in the 15th century CE, an indigenous guide might whisper a different story, one passed down through generations, enriching our understanding of this truly remarkable construction. Indigenous oral traditions describe these stones not merely as inert building materials, but as living entities, imbued with spirit from *Pachamama *Mother Earth. From this perspective, the incredible precision of the polygonal blocks, some weighing over 100 tons, was not just an engineering feat, but an act of collaboration with the earth itself, a reverence for the natural world. Carbon dating of associated ceramics and tools confirms the Incan construction, but the methods involved remain a profound mystery, leading some to suggest they inherited foundational techniques from an even older, unrecorded civilization. Yet, the Incas' advanced understanding of stoneworking, using bronze tools and abrasive stones to achieve these seamless joints, is a testament to their patient ingenuity. Their advanced understanding of not only construction but also spiritual connection to the land is vital to grasp. The Inca viewed their work as harmonizing with the natural world, rather than dominating it. The serpentine, zigzagging walls of Sacsayhuaman are believed to represent the teeth of a puma, the sacred animal of Cusco, integrated into the landscape. This cultural and philosophical tradition allowed them to mobilize immense communal efforts, driven by shared belief, creating seismic-resistant architecture, perfectly adapted to their environment. Yet mainstream history often overlooks this holistic approach, focusing solely on the technical aspects, and thus diminishes the true depth of their sophistication. Why was such profound knowledge of land, spirit and stone tragically lost, leaving only these silent, enduring walls? What catastrophes, specifically the Spanish conquest, erased not just lives, but entire libraries of practical and spiritual wisdom? What can their story teach us about the fragility of indigenous knowledge systems, and the enduring strength of human connection to place? How many other civilizations, deeply intertwined with their environment, have had their unique wisdom and methods obliterated by conquest or time? What will future archaeologists think when they encounter our own technologically advanced structures, if the spiritual and philosophical context of their creation is forgotten? Are we building monuments that honor both human ingenuity and the earth, or merely adding to the archaeological record of a fragmented, incomplete story? You walk across the enigmatic plain of Jars in central Laos, the humid air heavy with the scent of wild grass and distant rain. Before you, scattered across rolling hills, lie thousands of immense stone jars, some standing over 10 feet tall and weighing many tons. You reach out, your hand touching the cool, rough surface of a jar, feeling the ancient effort embedded in its form. This bewildering landscape, a product of a forgotten Iron Age civilization, presents a profound archaeological mystery, its purpose and builders largely lost to time, overshadowed by the more celebrated empires of Asia. Archaeologists recently discovered that these megalithic jars, carved from sandstone, granite or conglomerate rock, date back approximately 500 to 2,000 years, from about 500 BCE to 500 CE. Carbon dating of human remains found within and around the jars suggests they were primarily used for funerary practices, possibly as containers for secondary burials, or as part of elaborate mortuary rituals. The sheer logistical effort to quarry, carve and transport these colossal vessels across rugged terrain, sometimes over miles, speaks volumes about the social cohesion and ingenuity of this ancient culture. Their advanced understanding of stoneworking and communal labor is undeniable. Their advanced understanding of not only stone shaping but also possibly a complex belief system surrounding death and the afterlife is evident in the scale and repetition of these features. Yet mainstream history often overlooks the fascinating story of these Southeast Asian people, focusing instead on larger, more textual civilizations. These were sophisticated societies with complex social structures, technological innovations, and profound philosophical traditions surrounding their relationship with mortality. The tragedy of forgetting means their names, their specific rituals, and the intricate daily lives of those who crafted and revered these jars are almost entirely lost to us. Why were they forgotten, their purpose becoming a subject of endless speculation and local legend? What catastrophes, climate shifts, or cultural transformations led to the abandonment of these sites and the fading of their memory? What can their story reveal about the diverse ways human cultures grapple with death, and the enduring human impulse to create monuments for the deceased? How many other intricate, ancient landscapes, equally imbued with spiritual meaning, have been lost entirely, their stories slowly reclaimed by the earth? What will future archaeologists think when they encounter our own elaborate cemeteries or memorials, wondering at our connection to the departed? Are we building monuments that will clearly articulate our beliefs, or merely adding to the archaeological record of forgotten peoples, leaving only fragments of our remarkable stories? You stand among the silent massive stone jars on the plain of jars in Laos, the air, still and humid, imbued with the weight of ancient human sorrow. Your gaze falls upon a fragment of bone unearthed near one of these colossal vessels, a somber reminder of the people who created and used them. This poignant discovery, combined with ongoing archaeological work, paints a clearer picture of the jars, function, and the forgotten Iron Age civilization that mourned their dead here. Archaeologists recently discovered significant amounts of human remains, including teeth and bone fragments, both inside and buried around the megalithic jars. Carbon dating of these remains places their use from approximately 500 BCE to 500 CE. Mainstream archaeological theories now largely agree that the jars served a funerary purpose. Some propose they held bodies for decomposition before secondary burial, while others suggest they contained offerings to the deceased, or were part of a more elaborate, multi-stage mortuary ritual. The presence of stone lids, sometimes ornately carved, further supports their ceremonial importance. Their advanced understanding of funerary practices and communal remembrance is undeniable. The sheer effort involved in quarrying and carving these massive jars, some weighing many tons, and transporting them to dozens of scattered sites, suggests a highly organized society with a deep reverence for their ancestors. These were sophisticated people, with complex social structures, and profound philosophical traditions concerning death and the afterlife. Yet mainstream history often overlooks the depth of their cultural expression, focusing instead on regions with written records, thus allowing the tragedy of forgetting to obscure their human stories. Why were they forgotten, their complex rituals ceasing and their unique culture dissolving into later populations? What catastrophes, climate shifts or cultural transformations led to the abandonment of these sites and the fading of their memory, leaving only these silent receptacles of the dead? What can their somber story teach us about the universal human need to honor the departed and the diverse ways societies confront mortality? How many other ancient burial sites, equally rich in their cultural significance, have been lost entirely, their unique rituals and beliefs fading with time? What will future archaeologists think when they encounter our own elaborate cemeteries or cremation sites, wondering at our connection to the departed? Are we building monuments that will clearly articulate our beliefs about life and death, or merely adding to the archaeological record of forgotten peoples, leaving only fragments of our remarkable stories? You descend into the dimly lit, cool crypt of the Temple of Hathor, at Dendera, Egypt. The air is still and heavy, carrying the scent of ancient stone and faint incense. Your gaze is drawn to a series of bas-reliefs carved into the wall, particularly one that immediately captures the imagination. A large, bulb-like object, with a serpent-like filament inside, connected to a cable and resting on a giged pillar. You run your hand along the smooth, sculpted surface, feeling the cool permanence of the limestone. This, Dendera light as it's often called, presents a fascinating anomaly, suggesting technological knowledge in ancient Egypt far beyond conventional understanding. Yet mainstream history largely overlooks its more intriguing interpretations. Archaeologists recently studied these carvings, dating them to the Ptolemaic period, specifically the reign of Cleopatra VII. Carbon dating of other elements within the temple supports a timeline from 380 BCE to 180 CE. Mainstream Egyptology attributes these reliefs to a symbolic representation of Egyptian mythology, specifically the creation myth, with the prae bulb representing the primordial swamp lotus and the prae serpent representing divine energy. Yet alternative researchers point to the uncanny resemblance to modern electrical discharge lamps, noting the clear filaments, insulators, and cables depicted. This challenges the accepted narrative of ancient technology. Their advanced understanding of symbolism and religious cosmology is undeniable, as is their mastery of stone carving. However, if these carvings indeed represent a form of ancient electrical technology, it would imply a sophisticated knowledge of physics and engineering that was lost to time. Mainstream history tends to dismiss this, preserving the traditional understanding of ancient Egyptian capabilities. The tragedy of forgetting means that if such advanced technological insights existed, they were not passed down, leaving us only with enigmatic visual fragments that tantalize and perplex. Why were they forgotten, if they possessed such advanced technological knowledge? What catastrophes, invasions, or shifts in scientific paradigms led to the erasure of this wisdom, leaving only these perplexing images? What can this intriguing relief teach us about human ingenuity, the varied paths of technological development, and the fragility of knowledge across millennia? How many other hints of forgotten technologies lie hidden within ancient texts, or obscured by later interpretations? What will future archaeologists think when they encounter our own complex symbols or artistic representations of technology? Are we documenting our innovations well enough for the distant future, or merely adding to the archaeological record of forgotten marvels and their untold stories? You stand within the cool, hushed crypt of the Temple of Hathor at Dendera, Egypt, the dim light illuminating the intricate bas-relief of the Dendera light. The air is still, carrying the scent of ancient stone, as you contemplate the powerful symbolism that mainstream Egyptology attributes to these carvings. You run your hand along the sculpted figures, feeling the weight of millennia of belief embedded in the stone. This relief, with its lotus, serpent, and G-H pillar, represents a profound mythological narrative, revealing the philosophical traditions of a culture whose depth of understanding continues to unfold. Archaeologists recently studied these reliefs in context with other Egyptian mythological texts, dating the carvings to the Ptolemaic period. Carbon dating of the temple itself confirms its construction and decoration between 380 BCE and 180 CE. Mainstream Egyptology attributes the bulb shape to the primordial lotus flower, from which the world and the sun emerged in ancient Egyptian creation myths. The serpent represents the divine energy or fertility associated with creation, often personified by deities. The Djed pillar, supporting the bulb, is a powerful symbol of stability and endurance, often linked to the god Osiris. Their advanced understanding of complex symbolism and religious cosmology is undeniable, intertwining natural phenomena with spiritual narratives. Alternative researchers, however, point to the visual similarities with electrical apparatus, suggesting a forgotten technological understanding. They interpret the lotus as a light bulb envelope, the serpent as a filament, and the Djed pillar as an insulator or power source. While compelling, this perspective lacks corroborating archaeological evidence for ancient electrical grids. The tragedy of forgetting here is twofold. Either a profound technological knowledge was lost, or the intricate layers of spiritual meaning have been flattened by modern interpretations. Regardless, these were sophisticated people with complex philosophical traditions, whose understanding of the cosmos and creation was expressed through powerful symbolic art. Why were their specific symbolic meanings forgotten or misinterpreted over time, leading to such divergent modern interpretations? What catastrophes, cultural shifts, or the imposition of new beliefs led to the gradual obfuscation of their original intent? What can these deeply symbolic reliefs teach us about the multifaceted nature of ancient human thought and the constant re-evaluation of historical evidence? How many other ancient symbols, equally rich in their original meaning, have been lost to time or reinterpreted through a modern lens? What will future archaeologists think when they encounter our own complex symbols, wondering at their original intent? Are we preserving the full context of our beliefs for the distant future, or merely adding to the archaeological record of forgotten meanings and misunderstood narratives? You stand within the excavated heart of Caral-Supe, in central Anatolia, the dry air carrying the faint scent of ancient earth. You are surrounded by the intimate, interconnected mud brick homes, each one a window into a life lived 9,000 years ago. You run your hand along the smooth, ancient plaster of an interior wall, feeling the cool permanence of a dwelling built without external doors or streets. This remarkable proto-city, a pioneering experiment in urban living, challenges our assumptions about early human societal structures, yet its recognition remains tragically overshadowed in mainstream history. Archaeologists recently discovered that Caral-Supe flourished from approximately 7500 BCE to 5700 BCE, for nearly 2,000 continuous years. Carbon dating reveals a remarkable consistency in its architectural style and egalitarian social structure. Imagine a city where homes were accessed through roof openings, meaning daily life unfolded on rooftops, interconnected like a vast communal terrace. You descend into a room, feeling the warmth of its hearth, and seeing the platforms where families slept and worked. There is no evidence of streets, only a continuous maze of dwellings. Their advanced understanding of communal living and shared space is undeniable. Unlike many later civilizations, Caral-Supe shows no evidence of hierarchy. No grand palaces, no elaborate burials for a ruling class, no public buildings dedicated to elite power. All homes appear remarkably similar, in size and internal decoration. This suggests a highly sophisticated, egalitarian society, driven by cooperation rather than command. Yet mainstream history frequently overlooks this profound alternative model for urban development, one that challenges the notion of hierarchy as a prerequisite for large settlements. Why were they forgotten, despite their prolonged success and unique social model? What gradual climate shifts, resource depletion, or internal transformations led to the eventual abandonment of this vibrant, doorless city? What can their story reveal about human resilience, ingenuity, and the varied paths civilizations can take towards complex social organization? How quickly can such a stable and innovative society vanish, leaving only these silent, interconnected ruins? What warning signs did they miss, as their long period of flourishing began to wane? What profound lessons do the intimate, shared spaces of Caral-Supe offer about human cooperation, community, and the diverse forms that successful civilization can embody? You sit in the cool, quiet interior of a reconstructed Caral-Supe home, the dry Anatolian air settling around you. Your gaze drifts across the plastered walls, observing the intricate layers of paint and relief that archaeologists recently uncovered. You reach out, touching the smooth, ancient surface, feeling the subtle textures of mud and lime, realizing that beneath the current artistry lie traces of earlier forgotten narratives. This remarkable proto-city, thriving 9,000 years ago, offers a unique window into Neolithic art and ritual, yet its rich tapestry of visual stories remains largely obscure. Archaeologists recently discovered that the inhabitants of Caral-Supe frequently replastered and repainted their walls, creating layers of artistic and ritualistic expression. Carbon dating reveals continuous redecoration over nearly 2,000 years, from 7500 BCE to 5700 BCE. Beneath the visible murals, which often depict hunting scenes, geometric patterns, or figures of pregnant women and bulls, lie earlier, more faded compositions. These layers suggest a dynamic spiritual life, where artistic expression was an integral part of their daily and ceremonial existence, constantly renewed and reinterpreted. their advanced understanding of aesthetics, symbolism, and the sacred purpose of art is undeniable. The presence of skull veneration, with plastered and painted human skulls found embedded in walls or beneath floors, further emphasizes their profound philosophical and ritualistic traditions. These practices, intimately linked with their homes and ancestors, reveal a sophisticated understanding of death, memory, and community. Yet mainstream history frequently overlooks the depth of this Neolithic artistic and spiritual world, often overshadowed by the later, more monumental art of Egypt or Mesopotamia. The tragedy of forgetting means the specific meanings, the personal stories, and the precise philosophical traditions embedded in these layered murals are largely lost to us, leaving only fragments of their remarkable narratives. Why were these intricate layers of art and ritual abandoned, their meaning eventually forgotten? What internal cultural shifts, environmental changes, or perhaps even a gradual evolution of their belief system led to the cessation of such practices and the eventual abandonment of their city? What can their art reveal about human resilience, ingenuity, and the universal impulse to express complex spiritual ideas through visual means? How many other vibrant ritualistic art forms, equally rich in meaning, have been lost entirely, their colors faded, their narratives silenced by time? What will future archaeologists think when they analyze the layers of our own public art or personal expressions, wondering at our connection to belief and creativity? Are we building expressions that will clearly articulate our spirit, or merely adding to the archaeological record of forgotten peoples, leaving only fragments of our remarkable stories? You stand deep within the profound darkness of the Passage Tomb at Newgrange in County Meath, Ireland. The air is cool and still, heavy with the scent of ancient earth and the silence of millennia. Your hand traces the megalithic stones that form the passage walls, some intricately carved with spirals and geometric patterns, feeling the smooth, cold permanence of the rock. This extraordinary monument, older than the pyramids of Egypt, represents a staggering feat of engineering and astronomical insight by a forgotten Neolithic culture, whose achievements remain tragically obscure in mainstream history. Archaeologists recently discovered that Newgrange was built around 3200 BCE, making it a monumental structure over 5,000 years old. Carbon dating of organic materials found within the tomb confirms its construction during the late Stone Age. Its most astonishing feature is the roof box above the entrance, a precisely engineered opening designed to admit a single beam of sunlight into the 62-foot-long passage, illuminating the chamber at its heart for just 17 minutes on the winter solstice. This advanced understanding of celestial mechanics and precision construction, achieved with only stone and antler tools, is truly breathtaking. Their advanced understanding of astronomy, and their ability to plan and execute such a complex time-sensitive alignment, is undeniable. The enormous effort required to transport the 200,000 tons of rock and earth for the mound, and the immense stones for the passage and chamber, speaks of a highly organized, collaborative society. Yet mainstream history often overlooks this profound example of Neolithic ingenuity, reducing it to a mere burial site. These were sophisticated people with complex social structures, technological innovations, and deep philosophical traditions, whose names and specific cosmology are almost entirely lost to us, leaving only this silent, solar clock. Why were they forgotten, their purpose becoming a subject of academic study, rather than shared cultural memory? What catastrophes, climate shifts impacting their agricultural cycles, or cultural evolutions, led to the cessation of such monumental endeavors and the eventual erasure of their knowledge? What can their story reveal about the human impulse to connect with the cosmos and to commemorate their dead with such enduring power? How many other ancient monuments, equally profound in their celestial alignments, have been lost entirely, their cosmic wisdom fading with time? What will future archaeologists think when they encounter our own observatories or time capsules, wondering at our connection to the stars and the future. Are we building monuments that will clearly articulate our spirit, or merely adding to the archaeological record of forgotten peoples, leaving only fragments of our remarkable stories? You stand before the colossal curbstone one at the entrance of Newgrange, in County Meath, Ireland, the cool, damp air carrying the faint scent of ancient earth. Your gaze fixes on the magnificent triple spiral, or trisculae, intricately carved into the rough surface of the megalith, its lines flowing with an enduring hypnotic rhythm. You run your hand over the deep grooves, feeling the artistry and the profound mystery imbued within this ancient symbol. This motif, central to the Newgrange monument, speaks volumes about the complex philosophical and artistic traditions of a forgotten Neolithic culture, whose specific cosmology remains largely enigmatic. Archaeologists recently discovered that this iconic carving dates back to approximately 3200 BCE, placing it firmly within a period of immense communal effort and spiritual focus. Carbon dating reveals that the construction of Newgrange, and its accompanying art, predates the Egyptian pyramids and Stonehenge by centuries. While the monument's solar alignment with the winter solstice is well understood, the precise meaning of the triple spiral, repeated throughout the passage tomb, remains a subject of intense debate. Mainstream archaeology often interprets it as a symbol of life, death, and rebirth, or as a representation of the sun's journey, deeply connected to the monument's calendrical function. Their advanced understanding of abstract symbolism and artistic expression is undeniable. The meticulous effort to carve such intricate patterns onto incredibly hard stone, likely with rudimentary tools, highlights a sophisticated culture with specialized artisans. Yet mainstream history often overlooks the depth of this Neolithic philosophical tradition, reducing these powerful symbols to mere decorations, rather than profound statements about existence. The tragedy of forgetting means that the specific narrative, the shared spiritual understanding, and the intricate philosophical traditions represented by these spirals are almost entirely lost to us, leaving us only to ponder their universal resonance. Why were they forgotten, their spiritual language rendered silent? What catastrophes, cultural transitions, or the emergence of new beliefs led to the erasure of this profound symbolic knowledge? What can these ancient spirals teach us about the human impulse to find meaning in cycles and connections, and the fragility of even the most deeply held spiritual truths? How many other ancient symbols, equally profound and central to their creators, have been lost entirely, their meanings fading with the passage of time? What will future archaeologists think when they encounter our own abstract art or cultural symbols, wondering at our deepest beliefs? Are we leaving behind clear messages for the distant future, or merely adding to the archaeological record of forgotten peoples, leaving only fragments of our remarkable stories? You gently turn the brittle, yellowed pages of the Voynich manuscript, its vellum thin and fragile, a faint, sweet scent of ancient parchment in the air. Your gaze sweeps across the perplexing script, a series of elegant, flowing characters unlike any known language, accompanied by bizarre, detailed illustrations of unknown plants, astronomical charts, and mysterious bathing women. You feel the weight of countless unanswered questions within this unique, enigmatic book, a profound mystery of lost knowledge from a forgotten era that continues to defy decipherment. Archaeologists and paleographers recently employed carbon dating to precisely date the vellum pages of the manuscript. Carbon dating reveals it was created between 1404 and 1438 CE, placing it firmly in the early 15th century European Renaissance. The book's consistent, complex structure suggests it is not a hoax, but a genuine written text, albeit in an unknown language or cipher. Mainstream cryptography has applied every known technique, from frequency analysis to artificial intelligence, yet no one has successfully deciphered a single word, leaving its contents tantalizingly out of reach. The advanced understanding embedded within its structure, be it a sophisticated medical treatise, an alchemical text, or an elaborate code, remains elusive. The detailed botanical drawings depict plants that don't exist, challenging our understanding of ancient botany, or suggesting a lost knowledge of extinct species or fantastical imaginings. These were sophisticated minds, perhaps philosophers, alchemists or scientists, whose complex social structures allowed for the creation of such a singular work. Yet mainstream history largely overlooks the Voynich manuscript as anything more than an eccentric puzzle, diminishing its potential as a testament to lost intellectual traditions. Why was this knowledge codified in such an impenetrable way, or why was the key to its understanding lost? What catastrophes, cultural shifts or deliberate acts led to the erasure of the language or cipher that would unlock its secrets? What can this enduring enigma teach us about the fragility of knowledge transmission and the profound desire to preserve information, even when its meaning is destined to be forgotten? How many other ancient texts, equally profound and rich in forgotten knowledge, have been lost entirely, their words rendered silent by time? What will future cryptographers think when they encounter our own encrypted digital data, if the keys to its understanding are lost? Are we building archives that will clearly articulate our knowledge for the distant future, or merely adding to the archaeological record of forgotten languages and untold stories? You carefully examine the strange, captivating illustrations within the Voynich manuscript, the brittle vellum pages whispering secrets that no one can decipher. The air is still and quiet, carrying the faint, sweet scent of ancient ink. Your gaze moves from a fire, botanical drawing of a plant with roots, stems and leaves that defy all known species, to a tree, cosmological chart depicting celestial bodies, arranged in patterns unfamiliar to known astronomy. These images, more than the enigmatic script, deepen the profound mystery of lost knowledge from a forgotten era. Archaeologists and botanists recently studied these unidentifiable plant drawings, dating the manuscript itself to the early 15th century CE. Carbon dating confirms its creation between 1404 and 1438 CE. The botanical section alone features over 100 different species, meticulously drawn, yet none correspond to any flora documented in historical herbals or contemporary scientific records. Similarly, the astronomical charts display constellations and planetary movements that don't precisely match medieval European or Arabic astronomy. This suggests either a lost knowledge of unique, perhaps extinct, organisms or celestial observations, or an entirely distinct, symbolic cosmology. Their advanced understanding of natural sciences, or perhaps a unique philosophical framework, is undeniable if the images represent real phenomena. The precision of the drawings and the systematic arrangement of the information suggest a serious intellectual endeavor, not a random collection of doodles. Yet mainstream history largely overlooks the Voynich manuscript's scientific implications, focusing solely on the cryptographic challenge. This tragedy of forgetting means that if these images represent lost scientific or astronomical knowledge, it remains locked away, leaving us only with tantalizing visual fragments that perplex and inspire speculation. Why were these unique botanical and astronomical insights created, and then the key to their understanding lost? What catastrophes, cultural shifts, or deliberate acts led to the erasure of the context needed to comprehend these illustrations? What can this enduring enigma teach us about the fragility of scientific knowledge transmission, and the diverse ways humanity has observed and categorized the natural world? How many other ancient scientific texts, equally rich in forgotten knowledge, have been lost entirely, their observations rendered unintelligible by time? What will future botanists or astronomers think when they encounter our own scientific illustrations, if the context for their understanding is lost? Are we building archives that will clearly articulate our discoveries for the distant future, or merely adding to the archaeological record of forgotten sciences and untold stories? You stand atop the immense Pyramid of the Moon at Teotihuacan, in the central highlands of Mexico, the crisp, thin air carries the scent of dry earth and ancient stone, as a vast panorama of a forgotten metropolis unfolds before you. Directly ahead stretches the Avenue of the Dead, a monumental thoroughfare leading to the colossal Pyramid of the Sun, flanked by lesser pyramids and residential compounds. You feel the cool, weathered stone beneath your feet, absorbing the profound silence that now reigns over a city that once throbbed with life. This awe-inspiring urban center, flourishing for centuries, remains an enigma, its builders, true names and language lost to time, tragically overshadowed in mainstream history by later civilizations. Archaeologists recently discovered that Teotihuacan, meaning the place where the gods were created, in Nahuatl, the language of the later Aztecs, was built around 100 BCE and flourished until its mysterious collapse around 550 CE. Carbon dating confirms this remarkable period of dominance. At its peak, it was the largest city in the pre-Columbian Americas, potentially housing over 150,000 people. This advanced urban planning is evident in the precise layout of its monumental structures, aligned with astronomical precision, and a grid system that organized the entire metropolis. Their advanced understanding of architecture, urban planning and potentially cosmology is undeniable. The pyramids were not just massive structures, but complex ritual centers, richly decorated with murals and offering intricate knowledge of their worldview. Yet mainstream history frequently overlooks Teotihuacan's singular achievement as an original, self-governing metropolis that influenced vast areas of Mesoamerica without explicit evidence of a conquering army. These were sophisticated people with complex social structures, technological innovations, and profound philosophical traditions, whose names and specific rulers are almost entirely lost to us, leaving only their monumental, silent city. Why were they forgotten, their names erased, their language silenced? What catastrophes, climate shifts, internal revolts or external pressures led to the mysterious collapse and eventual abandonment of this powerful city? What can their sudden, perplexing demise teach us about the fragility of even the most dominant civilizations? How many other monumental cities, equally grand and influential, have been lost entirely, their histories slowly reclaimed by the earth and forgotten? What will future archaeologists think when they encounter our own sprawling megacities, wondering at the forces that shaped and ultimately abandoned them? Are we building monuments and societies that will clearly articulate our story, or merely adding to the archaeological record of forgotten peoples, leaving only fragments of our remarkable stories? You stand within the excavated tunnel beneath the Temple of Quetzalcoatl at Teotihuacan. In the central highlands of Mexico, the air is cool and damp, heavy with the scent of damp earth and ancient secrets. Ahead, a faint glint catches your eye, a chamber filled with liquid mercury, shimmering eerily in the archaeological lights. You feel a shiver, a mixture of awe and bewilderment, as you contemplate this enigmatic discovery from a powerful yet nameless Mesoamerican civilization. This unexpected find adds a final, tantalizing layer to the mystery of Teotihuacan, whose true purpose and builders remain profoundly obscure. Archaeologists recently discovered this astonishing cache of liquid mercury in 2014, at the end of a meticulously sealed tunnel beneath the Temple of the Feathered Serpent. Carbon dating of other offerings within the tunnel confirms its connection to the peak of Teotihuacan's power, around 200–400 CE. The presence of mercury, a highly toxic and difficult to obtain substance in antiquity, suggests a profound ritualistic or symbolic purpose, perhaps representing an underworld river or a sacred lake. This challenges conventional narratives, as mercury was rarely found in such quantities in Mesoamerican contexts. Their advanced understanding of metallurgy, chemistry and ritualistic cosmology is undeniable. The effort to extract, transport and contain such a large amount of liquid mercury speaks of a sophisticated organizational capacity and a deep, perhaps esoteric knowledge. Yet mainstream history frequently overlooks such anomalies, struggling to integrate them into the accepted understanding of ancient Mesoamerican capabilities. These were sophisticated people with complex social structures, technological innovations, and profound philosophical traditions, whose reasons for placing this strange, shimmering pool deep beneath their temple remain a final, unanswered question, a tragedy of forgotten intent. Why was this powerful, dangerous substance placed here, and why was its purpose lost to time? What catastrophes, cultural shifts, or the ultimate collapse of Teotihuacan led to the erasure of this significant ritual? What can this perplexing discovery teach us about the hidden depths of ancient beliefs, and the surprising scientific knowledge that can vanish from human memory? How many other potent, enigmatic substances lie hidden beneath ancient monuments, their profound meanings waiting to be rediscovered, or forever lost? What will future archaeologists think when they encounter our own complex ritualistic offerings, wondering at our deepest beliefs and forgotten sciences? Are we building monuments that clearly articulate our most profound practices, or merely adding to the archaeological record of forgotten peoples, leaving only fragments of our remarkable stories?